Good morning. This is really a wonderful morning for me. As I got up and started meditating the Word of God, the Lord began to encourage me and talk to me. Whatever the Lord talked to me, I want to share with you this day. Matthew's Gospel, chapter 6, verse 34, the last verse of this chapter, very familiar to all of us. Let me read it for you. Therefore, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. The Lord teaches us to live one day at a time. One day at a time. Of course, as I am teaching this, I had anxious feelings yesterday as I sat in my room wondering how I'm going to survive and how I can support my family. The Lord reminded me in a marvelous way. In the year 1993, August 7th, I gave my life to Christ from a very traditional Hindu family. And I am out from the family, started bearing the cross. Yesterday, as I sat at the fountain and looking the beautiful water, the Lord reminds me, hey, why are you worried? 30 years I took care of you. The Lord really took care of me. He blessed me. He gave me a wonderful family, and He provided the best education that I never imagined. And the Lord helped me to do three master's degrees and PhD, and He provided ways and means to travel around the world, teaching, preaching, training. And the Lord started reminding all those things and said, hey, why are you worried? But worry is a common symptom every human being experiences. Even though we experience God's blessings, we continue to worry because we are humans. This morning, the Lord is encouraging all of us to look at Him, live one day at a time. You know why? God cares for us. As I turn the Bible to Psalm 139, the Lord's care is amazing. There is not a single day He leaves us alone, and God is always there to help us. Oh Lord, you have searched me and know me. You know when I sit down and when I raise up, you discern my thoughts from afar. It's very funny. You try to count how many times you sit down and get up. Maybe try this exercise today. From morning till you sleep, you count how many times you sit down on a chair or a bench or somewhere and how many times you get up. Evening, as you go to the bed, you count how many times. I bet you can't count, you may forget. But God knows. God knows how many times you sit down and you get up. That means God knows how many times you get discouraged. God knows your troubles. God knows even what will happen after 10 years. God knows what will happen after 19 years of my child's life. Recently, my daughter Sophia went to US for her studies, and I was wondering how I'm going to provide and how this little child is going to survive in that land. But the Lord reminded me, when we went to Bangalore for my PhD, my children don't have anything. Even we hardly had anything in the home to eat and to survive, and no money to send my children to the school. I sent them to a street children's school, and 1 year they literally suffered. And the second year, I was very much feeling bad. As I was on the knees, the Lord told me, you are my servant, I will bless you. I took my motorbike, two-wheeler, and I started searching some schools. I went to one big, huge international school, and I stood at the gate and I looked at it and I said, Lord, I have no money to send my children to this school. What can I do? I went inside and saw such a huge school. It's a huge money to be paid for 1 year. It's 60,000 rupees. It's a huge money. I was not having any 1 rupee in my hand, but 60,000, how am I going to provide? The Lord said, I will provide you. Send that child to the school. And to make the long story short, I sent my children, got admission, 2 children, and in a mysterious way, in a marvelous way, my wife got job into that school as a teacher. And since my wife started working, one child's education is free, taken care. And only one child education I had to pay 60,000. 2 months, 3 months, 4 months over, and I have no money to pay, and the school gave a very strong warning, text message saying that you cannot send this child today to the school. If you send, she will be sent back home. It's a humiliation. And I told my children, you get into the school bus and go. I went to my library because I was busy doing my studies, PhD, and I had to do a lot of assignments. I went to the library, opened my laptop, started working, just silently prayed, Lord, today I need to pay 60,000 rupees. I have no single rupee. And by the time children go to the school, you provide. With a humble attitude of prayer, I prayed and opened my eyes. My cell phone started ringing. I picked up. I said, hello. The other voice, a female voice, says, are you Potana Venkateshwara Rao? My full name. Nobody knows my full name. I was so surprised. Somebody calling me with my full name, Potana Venkateshwara Rao. I said, I am. She said, we have 60,000 rupees check here. Can you come and receive it? It's really a miracle. We read miracles in the Bible, but God provides. God is the same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. That day, I went and took the 60,000 rupees check and went and paid my daughter's school fee. The Lord reminds me today, yesterday night, no, those days I provided money to your daughter Sophia. Can't I provide today as she is studying in Hardin Simmons University in Texas? It's a huge money. I need to pay a huge money. But the Lord said, I am the Lord who is behind her. By the way, I need to tell you my child's faith that as we were really wondering how to pay 60,000, that previous night we were in family prayer, and as we were praying and asking God, we were a little bit worried. And my little child Sophia and her sister Lydia, they were very young. I think they were 7 years or 6 years, very small children that time, studying first grade or second grade, something I forgot. No, they ran to their room and they brought a small cover and placed in our hands and said, Dad, why are you worried? We have money here, you go and pay. Their grandparents gave, I think, 1,000 rupees for them. They kept it safe and they gave and said, you go and pay, why are you worried? We said, this is only 1,000. We need to pay 60,000. We need 60,000, 60 times it should be multiplied. You know, I still remember this little Sophia looked at my eyes and said, Lord, Dad, in the Bible, Jesus took the little child's 2 loaves and 5 fish and multiplied to thousands, more than 5,000 men and ate. Can't God multiply this little 1,000 to 60,000? You know, God does miracles. That day, my wife Rita, myself, Lydia and Sophia, my son was not born that time, 2 little young girls. 4 of us laid our hands on that cover and prayed, Lord, multiply this 1,000 to 60,000 by morning. We want to pray. The Lord heard our prayer that day and multiplied that 1,000 into 60,000 by morning 8 o'clock. my phone rang and somebody called me, "Are you Potana Venkateshwara Rao? 60,000 rupees check is here. Can you come and collect it?" Is it not amazing? Is it not crazy? God is wonderful. He is amazing God. He provides. Even now, in this 21st century, God is God because there is no change in Him. He is same yesterday, today, and tomorrow. God is a wonderful God. Where shall I go from your spirit? Or where shall I flee from your presence? We cannot flee from God. God is with us and He helps us. I need to tell you this story also. When I went for my PhD in a state university in India, and not knowing how to pay the fee, 3 lakhs rupees per year I need to pay. And by the way, it was so crazy. I did 2 PhDs, one in a seminary Bible school, and I registered to a state university, a secular university under the religion department. I need to pay fees in 2 places, 2 guides, and managing 2 places. It's such a huge, expensive study. I was wondering how I can survive and sustain. But we were in fasting prayer. 3 days we fasted when we went that place, and no food. We prayed and prayed and prayed. Nothing happened. The 3rd day, the Lord started talking. Before we closed the prayer, and we were wondering, the Lord, what do you want me to do? How am I going to survive? The Lord started that last day here in Joel chapter 2, verse 19. Let me read for you. The Lord answered and said to his people, "Behold, I am sending to you grain, wine, and oil, and you will be satisfied, and I will no more make you a reproach among the nations." My prayer that time, it was in the year 2011. This happened in 2011, May 20th. The Lord talked to me. My struggle and my agony that time was how I'm going to survive. Where do I get money to pay the fees? Where do I get money to feed my family? I was not alone. I have my wife and my 2 children. We all need to survive, and I need to complete my PhD. The Lord talked to me that day, and He said, the Lord answered. I had 2 doubts that time, 2 worries. One is, many of my friends said, is it essential for you to do a PhD at this age? I was then 38 years. 2 little children, no money, no sponsorship. How am I going to survive? The Lord talked to me, and I landed there. And I had a doubt that time. If system collapses, and if we could not provide my food resources to my family, and if I can't pay my fees, and I pack up and go, I will be a laughter, and everybody will laugh at me. They may say, "Hey, we told you, but why did you go? And why did you spoil your life and time and career and came back? And how am I going to survive?" Those 2 questions. But that day, the Lord took away all those 2 questions, and He said, "I am the one who is going to survive and sustain you. Behold, the Lord